The Truth Girls.
Hi everyone. I'm here with Aaron. We're laughing because it's like take 3 because we keep screwing up. But anyway, and I was just telling him about some really weird news that I found on the internet. That, okay, Iowa has in place a plan to reduce unwanted pregnancies, which they're open about, and there's a website for it. But recently I found an article on the supposed Iowa Fit Parenthood Program. And the proponent is a woman whose last name is Strauss, and that she's putting this bill through law, and I think it's actually made its way through some law. Well, according to these articles, it's about that any expectant couple, as in they are already expecting, would have to submit to a battery of tests to determine their physical fitness and their mental fitness and like psychiatric level, fitness, and everything else to see if they're actually fit parents. Anything that would make them not seem to be possibly fit parents they would be then forced to abort the baby, and if they don't abort the baby, they could be put in jail. Now, this is not possible. I mean, this can't be constitutional.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, wait, there's more. Okay, so I'm looking at these articles. This first one, and I thought, okay, this has got to be satire. And then somebody else had posted an article about how the National Post doesn't know how to do satire. So I thought, oh, okay, they're going to debunk it. So I looked, and it was about a different article. So then I'm looking at other articles. There's one in it was called the Civic Tribune, I think. There are 3 newspapers carrying this article. One of them calls the journalist who's writing it an award-winning journalist. So what, do they win awards for bullshitting people now?
Well, totally. That's all the media does anymore is bullshit people.
It's usually that if you're looking into something that has to do with law and you want to find out if it's true, you might see like 3 articles, 1 or 2 or 3 even, right? But if you look up the person's name, you can usually identify them. Yes, there is a woman called Strauss who does work in this capacity with the Iowa government. And then you can look into it more about the law. Usually bills are all posted somewhere. I mean, at least like on the federal level. A lot of times you can actually see the legislation. You can find out in person their history. So you can do a little bit of sleuthing yourself. And when you look her up, you don't see anyone who works in that capacity. You see some people on LinkedIn with the same name, but they do something completely different. And so I can't actually know if she's a real person and if she really does this, which then calls into kind of question the whole believability of whatever you read on the internet. That stuff that there is such a thing as urban legends. That most urban legends actually started out, I used to have a book on urban legends. Most urban legends started out as a newspaper article that gave no indication of being legend or satire or fake. Like, going into the tanning booth and frying your guts, or the chihuahua in the microwave, or whatever else. That they start out as an article, and because it's in print, people take it seriously. Then another newspaper will reprint the same without having checked whether it's true, and this is how these kind of things get started. So it could also happen on the internet. So either it's like total BS, and that just shows that the journalists aren't doing a very good job, or B, it's true, and we got a serious fucking eugenics problem happening here. See, the thing is, there really are people who suggest that you would have to pass a fitness test before being a parent. And that if you don't, that maybe they could give you like permanent injectable birth control. You'd have to report for birth control or be, held liable and fined or something like that. I mean, there are people who really are pushing that. Like you'd have to get an injection every 5 years. But to force someone to abort their baby after, I think...
No. That sounds crazy. I don't know,
Real head scratcher, eh?
Like, they could pass that law, but you're probably right. It's probably some kind of urban legend.
I have a hard time believing it because the woman's not anywhere else on the internet, and none of this is... We
are heading in that direction, though.
I think we've headed out of the direction, and we've never actually headed out of it completely. I mean, the sterilization programs that they had even in the 30s, even before that.
They were sterilizing people en masse in the 50s.
Yeah, well, anyone who was considered like mentally deficient or criminally inclined. I mean, in the old days, that was pretty much common practice, but it still happens now. I read not long ago that in a prison, women are still being sterilized against their will. I think these women had given birth while in jail and were sterilized on the operating table or coerced into it. I mean, it still happens. The mindset is still there. I think that's what concerns us, that mindset that the government should have authority over who reproduces. That's still there.
The almighty government, yeah. Well, they want to have authority over just about every aspect of your life, so why not your birth? Why not screen your parents? Get a permit to have a baby. You know, go to the almighty government to get a permit or a license to have a baby.
Well, let me know if you have any insight into whether this is a real article or not. And somebody should just call up the Iowa government and be like, hey, are you planning to make people have abortions if they're not fit by your definition? So anyway, let us know what you find, and thanks for listening to us, and we'll see you next